You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged, prime Wagyu beef and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all, those massive cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best in the business as far as I'm concerned. Probably be the best you ever had as well. Also, wait till you try those half-pound to 1-pound massive Wagyu burgers. Mercy! Those are incredible. In fact, what I like to do with those, just because I can, and I can say it here because I don't get paid anything, but I have these. What I do is I'll put that on the grill. I'll put one of those massive burgers on the grill, put some pepper jack on it, and then put that after it's cooked up nicely, put it on a brioche bun with some pepper jack cheese and some butter lettuce, and boom, there it is. You don't need anything else. The taste of the beef alone is nothing like you've probably ever had before. It's unbelievable. I only say it because my mouth is watering just thinking about it. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Give them a call. Find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. Gosh. Man, those are good. Sorry, folks. I get fired up talking about uppercut chops. All right, welcome in, everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, all of our independents as well. Thanks for joining us, literally from Honolulu all the way down to Florida, to Auburn, Alabama, and Atlanta, and Texas, and right here in Las Vegas, KJPT, Jackpot Radio, Southern California, all the way up to Seattle and Maine, Chicagoland. You name it, we're there. You can't get away from us. Everybody on television, thanks for joining us also. Our Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, Oceanic, WOW Cable affiliates, as well as Hotel TV and everybody else streaming. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow on social media. On X, we are at The Sports Circus. And on Instagram, we are TSC Show. And on Facebook, we are Sports Circus. All right, now that we got all that out of the way, you know, the punching sound was rather appropriate for this first segment here because, get this. Look, first of all, this is going to be a show largely on fairness, or better yet, sportsmanship and fairness, this kind of thing. All right, and the first thing that I have to mention, we can spend a little time on this. It is the Turkish president who floored a referee with a punch. Oh, yeah. And this guy actually won something called the Fair Play Award last season and once saved a president. Unbelievable that this could even happen. This is crazy, folks. You got to watch the video on this one. Just go to your favorite search engine, DuckDuckGo, whatnot, and check out Turkish president who floored a referee. You wouldn't believe this. Now, this is from the Daily Mail over in the UK. I mean, look, this is everywhere, but I figured let's stay on that side of the world just because, man, this is unbelievable. So a Turkish football club president, according to the Daily Mail, and co-owner who sucker punched a referee was once awarded a Fair Play Award last season, according to reports. Farouk Koka, I don't know if I'm saying it right, a Koka or Kosa, we're going to go with Koka, stormed onto the pitch after his team MKE conceded a late equalizer against Kaker Rizespor, resulting in a 1-1 draw. Upon reaching the referee, he launched the vicious attack, striking Umut Miller in the face and knocking him to the ground, where he was also kicked. you kidding me? Oh, man, this is vicious sports over there, folks. Holy cow is right. It's unbelievable thinking about what could possibly happen here. So Miller said that Coca had threatened to kill him and his colleagues. State-owned Anadolu news agency reported. While Coca claimed he never hit the official, which it's very clear if you look at the video evidence. I mean, this guy just threw a right cross and he just dropped that guy. I mean, like a bad habit. Anyway, of course, shocking video and photos certainly show otherwise, even though he says he claims he didn't hit him. So, nonetheless, Coca was arrested along with two other suspects over the incident for injuring and threatening a public official. Okay, so this guy is a public official, or is it actually an official, right? So the plot thickens. Nonetheless, a huge embarrassment for the public figure who later announced he had resigned from his position at the club. However, he insisted that his team was cheated by the referee. Now, imagine if that had happened over here in the NFL. We're going to get to that in a minute. Quote, no matter how great an injustice or how wrong the officiating was, nothing can legitimize or explain the violence that I perpetrated. Close quote. That's what he said in a statement. And he says further, I apologize to the Turkish refereeing community, the sports public, and our nation. Close quote. Now, according to the reports, the Ankara native had been the president of MKE since 2021. But his public persona dates back even further. So, folks, just wrap your head around what the heck we're talking about here. It's maddening to imagine. Even if you play the video on X, all you're going to end up is you're going to see the vicious attack. But you're also going to hear the crowd just boo and boo and boo. There's nothing else. Really, frankly, there's no other sounds or no other words or nothing that could even describe this. I mean, it's just boo. So the now ex-club president was twice elected to Turkey's parliament as a part of President Tayyip Erdogan's ruling AK party, serving as the deputy to the Turkish Grand National Assembly for 9 years, from 2002 to 2011. And he was also the founding member of the Justice and Development Party. Yeah. Imagine that. All right, this is crazy, folks. Anyway, you think about this. How does this even happen? And there is an absolute transfer of this to these United States of America. Now, in 2006, Erdogan fell ill while on his way to the parliament, but amidst the panic of his driver and security guard became trapped in his car, which locked from the inside. How the hell that happened? Kosu is understood to have broken the window of the armored vehicle with a sledgehammer and helped Erdogan to the hospital. Now, due to his stints in politics, he is well known in Turkey. After years of regulations and promotions, he returned to the Turkish Super League in 2018, with Koka taking over 3 years later. Ironically, he was awarded a Fair Play Award by the Turkish Super League in December of 2022. And the Ankara club is the president, and it's the president are linked closely to Erdogan's ruling AKP party, not to be confused with AKC party. Anyway, so earlier, Koka told one reporter that he could consider running for mayor as the AKP candidate in a closely watched municipal election coming up in March. And he says, quote, if I'm entrusted with the task of being the metropolitan municipality mayor, I will do what's necessary, close quote. I don't know. Is that by punching people? I'm not really sure what that means. So I guess at the end of the day, folks, we have to think about this and say, all right, look, the story goes on and on and on. So be it. But when I think about this story, and here you've got an official punching an official, so to say, over a call on a field. Now, let's think about the National Football League for a minute. And we think of bad sportsmanship. We think of people getting unruly, out of control. And so even if you're a quarterback and it looks like you're crying about a call or this or that, as we saw recently, it appeared that Patrick Mahomes was crying like a little girl about, nothing against little girls, but we'll say crying like a child. How's that for all you politically correct people? Crying like a child about something, about a call on the field or a no call on the field or some garbage like that. You know, Patrick Mahomes is a leader in the National Football League in a lot of ways, but the display of childish behavior is unimaginable. Look, the guy makes $45 million a year. Folks, that is a lot of lettuce. Seriously, lettuce.
Show me the money!
And when you're paid that kind of money, you just play the game. And he's been very, very good in the media. He hasn't caused a lot of chaos. He's been very good with his teammates as reported. But when you come out and you cry like a child on television about something, and then your coach comes in, Andy Reid comes in, and he makes a comment. Listen, folks, I can tell you, and actually I think I want to pick up on this in the next segment. When you see what happens on the field, you sort of scratch your head and say, well, how the hell did that happen? And I'm not talking about this play or that play. I'm talking about how was that call either made or ignored on the field. And there are a lot of theories on this. So when we come back from break, I want to go into that just a little bit, wrap up this whole idea with this Turkish president thing, knocking out or knocking down an official. I mean, look, I don't agree with any of that. You're not supposed to do that. How about a little sportsmanship, folks? How about just a little bit of sportsmanship? Anyway, what I'm after here is why these kinds of incidents may occur. All right, so we're going to cover that in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners. You and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes, are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Al Bubba Baker, quarterback breaker and the rib maker.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studios. That stands for All Ages Media Programming Television, AAMP.com. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events right here in the Las Vegas Valley. csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. You've been with us for all 7 years of the existence of this program, and maybe for another 7 years. Who the hell knows? Bunch of good people over there, great athletics, very good academics at the College of Southern Nevada. So if you're anywhere else in these United States of America, you want to come down to wonderful weather year-round right here in the Las Vegas Valley, entertainment capital of the world. Believe me, folks, there is a good school, and in my opinion, it certainly isn't that main university that other people know of that has a U, an N, an L, and a V in it, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion, folks. You want to talk about that? Yeah, let's not talk about that on air because it is what it is. All right. Welcome back to everybody, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome in everybody that may be listening with our friends over in Southern California and our friends at CNBC and NBC News. Boy, long time they carried the show, and they're just very, very cool people. Thanks for doing all the work in the past with us, etc. Moving forward, who knows what the hell's going to happen? We might have something bigger and better even cooking beyond that. Big hello to our friends over on KCBS and KCAL in Southern California as well. That is a CBS affiliate for Los Angeles, and KCAL actually is the sister station. That would be Channel 2 on television and Channel 9 as well. Hello to them. And right here in Las Vegas, KJPT Jackpot Radio, all the way down to Auburn, Alabama, WAUD 1230, that's home of the Atlanta Braves, and WDJY in Atlanta, 99.1 FM, WBGY in South Florida, plus all of our others from coast to coast. Thanks for joining us also on television, as well as Hotel TV in every Nielsen-rated market in America. That's right. Okay, so in the last segment, it was the Turkish president, as reported by the Daily Mail, punching a referee in a soccer match. I mean, crazy to imagine. I think I'm pretty sure it was a soccer match. Anyway, I guess what I'm after here is, if that happened in the National Football League, imagine even one of the players going and punching a ref, right? There would be lawsuits, there would be ejections, all kinds of crap, whatever. Well, look, this kind of stuff, frankly, I'm surprised it doesn't happen a little bit more often. And as we see a lot of games, I mean, look, this is my observation, and a lot of people I know from pick your favorite major sport, current players and or coaches and or, well, just fans of the game, just like you and me. Well, the reality is people are getting really bent out of shape by seeing calls they just can't seem to make sense out of. And the calls are egregious. I mean, it's not if, oh, I'm sorry, I made a small mistake. No. I mean, you're seeing calls that just defy logic. And look, I have made this statement a long time ago. And the statement essentially is, look, when professional sports in Las Vegas joined forces for this betting things, right? When it comes to pick your favorite app or your favorite organization, now you can place a bet everywhere on a game. It seems to me, and yes, I'm here in Las Vegas, it seems like, look, first of all, the games were already compromised, as I was told by a longtime NFL Super Bowl champion. He wasn't a long time, he was a long-time player that won a Super Bowl. So, and he said when he got done on the field, he went to go work for the powers that be. And he said very specifically, even while he was playing, the games were fixed. And I'll mind you, this is many, 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 many years ago. So we even had, during the course of our couple thousand hours of programming, we had somebody admit that this actually happened. Oh, yeah. And not only that, we also had Tim Donaghy on the show, which talked about cheating by the officials in basketball. Remember, he went and served 14 months in prison for this, too. And so you ask yourself, and by the way, he also called out his head of officiating during that show, too. And if you look back at the show schedule, listen to some of those previous shows, which you can hear them on, iHeart, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, Google, Amazon, Audible. Our shows are available on all those platforms, plus a whole bunch more. But reality is, some things are going on the field that are a little bit funky, and it sure leads back to game fixing. Sorry, it is what it is, folks. And it doesn't matter whether it's on the collegiate level, and I would even argue that on the high school level. Because at this point, name, image, and likeness money, I'm digressing here, that's okay. Name, image, and likeness money is dictating where these prospective college athletes, we don't even call them student athletes anymore, now they're just college athletes, where they're going to actually go play their sport. So it occurs to me that I'm going to just come right out and say cheating. Cheating in sports has long happened. But now the payoffs in sports, in my opinion, are going on across all levels from high school up. And some people will talk about it that are in the business, and some people won't talk about it. You'll have to get your own people to corroborate this. So I've heard from many people about the corroboration. And what really drives me crazy is people say, hey, let's go and watch this sport or that sport. The big game is on today, whatever. And the reality is they're going to go bet on it. And it's basically like flipping a coin because you don't know. Unless you're on the inside, you don't really know which way your money's going to. And that's the bigger problem. So you see the casinos, they all benefit from the action, right? Win or lose. They're all taking what? On a flat bet, basically you're picking one side. They're taking the juice money. Some people call it the VIG. The reality is they make money no matter what. Whereas the poor bettor, when I say poor, I'm saying poorly informed bettor, all they're basically doing is flipping a coin. Oh yeah, I got this right, I got that right. So here's an interesting fact. I run a prognostication service. And my prognostication service, you can find it at placeyourbet.vegas. That service is not based on statistics. It's not based on weather reports as far as the picks go. It's based off of following the money. That's it. If you follow the money, you'll do very, very well in sports betting. As a matter of fact, Place Your Bet has a running, moving average since its inception of 84% against the Vegas point spread. Now, nobody else can make that claim and back it up. We have some really good data. And it happens to be that, look, I know how to follow the money. I learned this back in the old neighborhood in Chicago when I was a kid. But what you got to realize, folks, is that when you're betting on a game, largely, in my opinion, the game has already been determined. And if you don't believe me, all you have to do is watch these games a little bit closer. and you'll see a timely call for or against the game from an over and under standpoint, from a point total standpoint, to whoever the favorite or underdog is. And you scratch your head, it's like, well, wait a minute. How the hell did that happen? I mean, look, we saw that in the playoffs with the New Orleans Saints getting completely burned on a bad call against the Minnesota Vikings some years ago. The reality is, this happens a lot more than we may think, in my opinion. And look, I can't say for certain because nobody could say for certain, and we don't want to damage the league. But what we're doing is exposing what's really going on. So now you see Patrick Mahomes complaining about a call or this or that or whatever. And you know what? Andy Reid said the same thing. And that's not just those guys. Oh, no, a lot of people have been complaining in the National Football League this season, last season, the season before, and on and on. We see it in baseball, pitchers getting squeezed. It's like, look, that pitch was right down the middle. Oh, no, you're wild in the strike zone. It's right down the middle. You got to call it. Or there's a pitch so far out of the strike zone. Like, wait a minute. How the heck did that happen? Or Ohtani. We're going to get to Ohtani in the next segment. Ohtani gets a pitch literally shoulder high. And if he didn't swing at it, it still would have been a strike. The reality is, certain calls go certain ways, in my opinion, because certain amounts of money from certain organizations and certain people are on it. This is fact. So if you're foolish enough to put your money down on a game, at least go to placeyourbet.vegas and give yourself a fighting chance, because at least placeyourbet.vegas does what? It follows the money. So, folks, if you don't know how to follow the money, you better learn, because you're not going to make money, in my opinion, you're not going to make money in sports betting unless you understand what following the money means. And that means watching where the money goes when the whales come in. Those are the big bettors. When the whales come in, how it moves the line, what moves the line. Is $50,000 going to move the line in a Super Bowl? Yes, $50,000 one-time bet will move it a half a point, depending on the casino. Anyway, back with all that fun stuff in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come. Save your money, folks. And save yourself! I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more.
800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. That's 800-957-6209.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. You've got to remember to do your testing and always need to stick your fingers to test your blood sugar. The new way to live your life with diabetes is with a continuous glucose monitor. Apply a discrete sensor on your body, and it continuously monitors your glucose levels, helping you spend more time in range and freeing you from painful finger sticks. If you are living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes and you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you might be eligible for a CGM through your insurance benefits. U.S. Med partners with over 500 private insurance companies and Medicare. We offer free shipping, 90-day supplies, and we bill your insurance. Call us today for a free benefits check.
800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are podcasts, which are available on all podcast platforms, as well as make sure you check out our partners and upcoming schedule. Lots to come here on the Sports Circus. Thanks for coming back with us, everybody on radio, TV, everybody on social media. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow as well on Twitter. We are at the Sports Circus, or that's X, at the Sports Circus. On Instagram, we are TSC Show, and also on Facebook, we are Sports Circus. All right, now that you have all that whole betting thing, I kind of want to put a bow on this one. So when we have players and coaches and whatnot complaining, think to yourself, folks, it's not really that they're complaining about they didn't get a call their way or that way. In many cases, it appears that those calls were so obvious in one direction or another direction that how in the world could they even be called? And so you ask yourself, how does that happen? Or better yet, why does it happen? Well, let's think about this real quick. The millions of dollars that are on the field in the form of players and coaches even, you ask yourself, what is it going to take to influence them? A lot of money! That's what it's going to take!
Show me the money!
However, the least compensated people on the field of play or court or ice is what? Are what? They are officials! And it would occur to me that it's easier to compromise an official versus a player, given the latitude that the officials are given, to influence the outcome of a game. So you ask yourself, is this really happening? Well, I mean, we've already seen it happen. We've had admission to it happening. And even on this particular show, we had a former player. You have to go back through the thousands of hours of content to find out who said it. But yes, the games, according to that person, are fixed. And they have been since the beginning of that particular sports league. I mean, folks, come on. This isn't anything new, but nobody wants to admit it. So they go to see the Super Bowl, for example. Hey, the Super Bowl, whatever. And what do we see with the Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams? We saw Aaron Donald conveniently with about a minute and, say about a minute and a half or so left in the game, when Cincinnati's going down for a game-winning drive in the Super Bowl in Los Angeles. We conveniently saw what? Aaron Donald line up in the neutral zone, clear as the sky is blue. I guess if there's no chemtrails, if you know what I mean. Anyway, but Aaron Donald lines up in the neutral zone, which of course, I think it was 4th and 3, if I'm not mistaken, on that particular play, which automatically would have gave Cincinnati a first down, put them further into field goal range to tie a game, let alone to go and win a game. Something to that effect. Anyway, I don't remember the exact details, but my point is, that's just one small example. And now people are complaining about what happened with Kansas City, about somebody lining up in the neutral zone, whatever, a wide receiver. Well, it's the same damn thing, but this time it's the other side of the ball. And conveniently, that wasn't seen. Yet Aaron Donald, who lined up in the neutral zone, conveniently wasn't seen. And look, when the referee is looking down at the ball, when you're looking to see, when the side judge is looking down to see who is onside, who's offsides, who's in the neutral zone, whatever, they know they have to make a call, okay? And so in some cases they make a call. In Kansas City's position, they made a call. Against the Rams, conveniently, or better yet, the benefactors of the call, the no call, were the Rams. And of course, the Bengals ended up, that I wouldn't say cost them the Super Bowl, but likely did cost them the Super Bowl. And so unfortunately, these things do happen. Are the referees compromised? In my opinion, absolutely. Are all of them compromised? I don't believe they are. You'll have to make your own determination on that. But there is enough evidence over years and years and years, just as a spectator, to certainly say, it appears to me that these games could be fixed. Well, folks, it occurs to me, in my humble opinion, these games are fixed. So why are you betting on them in the first place? If you're going to bet on them, what do you have to do? You got to follow the money. Because the injury report, the weather report, who's doing whose wife, whatever, that stuff doesn't matter. It's where is the money being placed. That is the only thing that seems to matter. Why is it that in a basketball game, if the line is 2.5, why is it that conveniently a team wins by 2? I mean, you don't see them winning by 12. No, in those games, or if the line is 7.5, you see him win or lose by 7. If the line is 14.5, you see him win or lose by 14. Or something to that effect. Why is that? Well, the half point will guarantee a winner and a loser in the first place, right? Which is better for the casinos. So, in my opinion, the involvement of sports betting to the level it is today has completely destroyed our vision or what we thought sports actually were. And me personally, as a former pitcher, I personally have been squeezed by certain umpires. When I say squeezed, folks, I'm not saying physically squeezed, if you know what I mean. No. I'm saying a shrinking strike zone late in the game because of an over and under. Somebody unofficially told me that in a particular game that I pitched in, and I didn't believe it at the time, but then again, I sort of believed it because I'm thinking, well, geez, as a kid, we kind of dictated what happened in the neighborhood with betting on laying off action. So did Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have a gripe? Yes, they did a little bit, but no, they didn't, because it happens for them. It also happens against them. Were they wrong for saying what they said? I think they were. But when you think of sportsmanship, you say, well, wait, what is fair and what's not? Apparently, it's what the referees say, and apparently, in my opinion, it's how much the referees were paid to determine what is fair and what isn't. Speaking of fair, before we get to Ohtani, how about this? How about NBC removes Al Michaels from the NFL playoff coverage? How do you like that one? We're going to give that one an astounding round of boos because Al's been with us for, 40-odd years. I mean, who doesn't know Al Michaels? So NBC is reportedly parting ways with legendary broadcaster Al Michaels, as according to all media outlets. This particular one came from Yahoo. It says NBC is reportedly parting ways with legendary broadcaster Al Michaels ahead of the playoffs, and Al is 79. The 79-year-old was unaware that his role was in jeopardy last month. Did anybody know that? Now, the New York Post also reported this. Michaels reportedly said he believed that he was still going to call a postseason game on NBC, but did not know who else would be working. He says, quote, "It's in my deal. Where are you hearing that from? That's part of my deal. Are you hearing something that I'm not hearing?" Close quote. Anyway, Michaels is really basically said to be one of the best play-by-play announcers of all time. And look, after working for ABC for 40 years, for 30 years, 76 to 2006, he joined NBC as the voice of Sunday Night Football. Look, the guy is a staple at this point, but he lost his role to Mike Tirico last year. Mike Tirico calls a good game. We'll give him that. And let's face it, NBC gave Michaels one of those emeritus titles, basically saying, okay, you're almost like an on-call guy, so we'll leave you there. But Mike Tirico does call a good game. Chris Collinsworth does call good color commentating. It sometimes can be a little annoying, like all of us, including myself, if you know what I mean. Right? But Mike Tirico does call a good game, and I think it's a good move for NBC. So you can complain about it, but he and Tony Dungy were together on a call even for last year's big game with the Jags and their comeback over the Chargers. And Tony Dungy, look, they're saying, well, okay, it was a low energy call and blah, blah, blah. Was it? Sort of. I mean, you need somebody with a little bit more fire in the belly to call these games. And Al Michaels still calls a good game. And if he's got the right color commentating guy with him, I think the game is good. Now, the Super Bowl, when they called it, I didn't like it. To me, it was just like another Sunday night game. Because, of course, it's on what? Super Bowl Sunday. I didn't like that. I wanted to hear a different announcing crew. And, of course, I would think Aikman and Buck call a pretty good game. But anyway, when the playoffs begin coming up, NBC will roll out 2 games. All right, those 2 broadcast teams, actually for it's 4 games, and Tirico and Chris Collinsworth will work 3 of the games. College football broadcasters Eagle and Blackledge will call the other. You notice Al Michaels not in there. Now, Eagle's 27 and will be featured on, are you ready for this? Nickelodeon's SpongeBob telecast. Is that reasonable? Whatever the case, I don't know, folks. Anyway, Al Michaels took a role with Amazon Prime Video during his shift with NBC last season. He can be heard calling Thursday Night Football, of course, for that streamlined platform, but his absence from the playoffs will mark the end of a long and storied run, as no one has called more Super Bowls on television than he has, and Michaels and Pat Summerall are both tied with 11 of those. All right, folks, back here in a few minutes. Going to do a little Ohtani baseball. Why? Because we sort of have to, and all I can say with that is...
Show me the money!
Oh, boy. What an awful discussion on money coming up. Don't go anywhere. You'll like this.
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark, friends. High pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth. I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has a Barbary over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I think if there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch, bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. 1 ball, 1 strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, here's a pitch foul out of play. Why not talk about commercial products who don't do what they represent to do?
There's a smash to Squires. He's got it. 1, 2, 3, nothing across. We're going to the bottom of the 7th now to score. All tied up. Milwaukee 4, the White Sox 4. Hey! Everybody! All right, Nancy, let me hear you. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back for its root for the White Sox. If they don't win, it's a shame. Or it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Tom Brenneman. How do you not love that music?
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, again, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests. Boy, we've got some really good guests coming up here. In fact, we're going to have, making a comeback here on the show, is my favorite television character of all time. And I brought him on, first of all, because it's my favorite character, period. And it's Salem the Talking Cat from the old Sabrina the Teenage Witch episodes. Boy, it's Salem Saberhagen. It's actually a witch turned into a cat, whatever. But actually, it's Nick Bakay. And Nick Bakay is one of those guys that, you know, he has been on the staff from writing and producing some of the biggest shows on television, like 2.5 Men with Chuck Lorre, and also a show called Mom. And actually, Nick Bakay has his own show. It's called Bookie. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's on Cinemax, and it's a series. And Nick is one of those really cool guys that doesn't have a lot of flair and flash around him. He's just a regular cool guy. If I'm not mistaken, he's from Western New York, from the Buffalo area. I remember he was a big Buffalo Bills fan. I think a Buffalo Sabres fan too, even the Bison. So we're going to have Nick on the show, and we're also going to bring on one of our friends, and that's Rob Ryder. So all you people that may be a little bit up there in age like myself, you may remember an older movie in the late 1970s. Of course, I was just a younger guy. A movie called The Warriors, and it was a gang movie. It was on street gangs and whatnot in New York, a really cool movie. And so Rob Ryder is going to join us, and Rob was the head of the Baseball Furies gang, because he had a white and purple face painted, so you couldn't tell him by face until you saw him in his other role in the same film, where he was also the head of the subway roller skating gang. They were called the Punks, and famous fight scenes in Central Park with the Warriors, with the Baseball Furies, and also a famous fight scene in the New York subway bathroom with the Punks. Really good stuff, folks. Anyway, so Rob Ryder is going to join us. And coming up, we don't have the date confirmed just yet. Also, the great Wayne Newton, Mr. Las Vegas, is going to be right here on the Sports Circus. Yes! We're also adding a couple of really cool people to the show as far as our regulars. We're going to bring on, and we haven't put a release out on it yet, but it's going to come out pretty soon, Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and rib maker. Al is going to be our regular football analyst. And you know, Al, in case you don't know who this guy is, folks, you better look him up. Al Bubba Baker played for the Detroit Lions, and he had 131 sacks in the National Football League. That's unbelievable. Matter of fact, it seems like the magic number for pro football, generally speaking, is 100 sacks to get into the Hall of Fame. Why Al Bubba Baker is not in the Hall of Fame? Your guess is as good as mine. Why Jim Jeffcoat, with 110 sacks and 2 Super Bowls, is not in the Hall of Fame? Your guess is as good as mine. And let's go just a little bit below that line. Why Leonard Marshall, with 2 Super Bowls, on that same defensive line with 3 guys who are in the Hall of Fame? And Leonard actually has better numbers than 2 of the guys. And those guys are Lawrence Taylor, with I think 160-odd sacks, whatever. Then you have Carl Banks, Harry Carson, who have less sacks than Leonard Marshall. I think Leonard has 83.5 sacks. And Leonard's done a lot of good for the league, a lot of good for his college, for LSU. And congratulations to the young man that won the Heisman Trophy from LSU. We'll give him a round of applause, a very brief one, because really that was Bo Nix's trophy, in my opinion. I just don't understand how he didn't get it. He had the best numbers out of all the quarterbacks. But nonetheless, you think of those guys. But Al Bubba Baker is going to be joining us on a regular basis. And what a cool guy. Just a super cool guy. He was also featured on television shows, and he has a patent for barbecued ribs. I mean, just a very unique guy, a very spiritual guy, too. So this guy is loaded with great qualities. Can't wait to have Al Bubba Baker on a regular basis on the show. That's going to be good for football. But nonetheless, all right, I'm going to shift from football to baseball. Talk about Shohei Ohtani. I've always called him Show Me the Money.
Show me the money!
Shohei Ohtani. Well, they finally showed him the money in his newest contract. Everybody has heard about it. This guy getting a ridiculous $700 million to play baseball for 10 years. Now, I don't care how it was deferred and all this other BS. At the end of the day, you have to look and say, first of all, this guy's a designated hitter. We don't even know if he can really pitch again. So let's think about this. Okay, fine. So he deferred money and all this other stuff. All right, I'm not really concerned about that. But what I am concerned about is the structure of the deal in the first place. The structure of the deal is troubling to me in so many ways. I got to tell you, folks, think about this. How do you justify $1,667,000 per at bats? Yes, an astounding round of boos have to follow that because it doesn't make sense. You know, somebody sent me a meme yesterday, and it was something about Dodger Stadium where the price of a beer now goes up to like $300 or something like that. A hot dog goes to $300, popcorn goes to $250. I mean, more ridiculousness. But reality is this. How do you pay somebody $1,670,000 per at bat? Let that sink in, folks. When the average American makes, I think, $41,000 a year. Wrap your head around that one. Now they say, well, he's only going to hit this year, and barring an unsuccessful surgery, the guy's going to end up pitching for the Dodgers, whatever. Some people say, well, do you spend $70 million a year securing a great pitcher or $35 million a year on two good pitchers? Well, look, the obvious answer is two, because you're mitigating your risk. Right? If one goes down, you're kind of screwed. So the reality is, if you're going to spend that kind of money, you could probably get, 3, 4, 5 players. Pretty good players, mind you, in today's time. So you're going to pay this guy, and I want you to think about this for a minute, folks. The reality is, this guy's going to be swinging a bat. And his surgery itself does what? It fixes, apparently, the ulnar nerve. Now, if you don't know this, I will tell you this very clearly. When you roll your hands over from swinging a baseball bat, so put your hands together like you're swinging a baseball bat. Just do it right now. I don't care if you're in your car or wherever you're at. If you're laying in your bed, just do it and act like you're swinging a bat. Now, roll your hands as if you're following through on that swing. Now, I want you to also think about this. After you do it once, then just use one hand, right, and keep your top hand. Now, I'm left-handed, so my top hand would be my left hand. And use your right hand. I'm using my right now. And I'm going under my elbow and touching like the funny bone area, right? When you and roll your wrist like you're swinging a bat. What are you doing? You're moving that funny bone area. And that funny bone thing that everyone has, if you don't know what that is, that's your ulnar nerve. Okay, so every time you roll your wrist over, you're working that nerve. You're working that area, so to say. Don't you think if you have 600 at-bats in a season, we'll just say on average 600 bats, and that's what the $1.67 million is based upon. It's 600 at-bats times 7 years, or 4,200, and then you take that and you put $700 million into it, and the conversion is what it is. Well, so the reality is this. if you've got the average at bat, and I think Ohtani faces at least 3 to 4 pitches per at bat. He doesn't really swing at the first pitch very often. Okay, but he swings and misses quite a bit. So let's just say he has actually 3 swings per at bat. Now you're talking 1,800 swings just in regular games, never mind batting practice. And out of those 1,800 repetitions, you're going to tell me that ulnar nerve is not going to potentially be compromised? That surgery, mind you, it's the second surgery that he's had in this area. You're trying to tell me that's not going to be compromised? Which I say this because it likely, in my opinion, will compromise the surgery itself. And look, this is the second one. Is it going to give less life on the elbow or on that ulnar nerve in the first place for throwing? In my opinion, 100% it's going to. Did the Dodgers make a bad move? In my opinion, absolutely they did. And the Dodgers say, well, we're only going to pay him $2 million a year for the next 10 seasons. And he's going to defer $680 million. All right, so he pays California tax for $2 million a year because that's income received. So he'll pay the tax on that. It'll probably be about $600,000, whatever. But the reality is this guy is going to have, I don't know, a whole bunch of money that's deferred in taxes. Good for him. So he's not going to have to pay California state tax. But also, this guy is basically going to handcuff the Dodgers for 7 years on a ridiculous salary. And let's face it, folks, he's a good hitter. He's not the best hitter, not being a stretch of the imagination. And if he can only hit, some people say, some of these knuckleheads on TV, we'll put him in the outfield and get some value out of him. Okay, are you getting $70 million a year value out of him? Well, some person on one of those competition journalists, broadcast journalists or writers, they had one of these discussions on one of those shows on the 4-Letter Network yesterday. I listened to her. And I said, okay, that logic is completely flawed. But nonetheless, this guy is going to make a bunch of money, and he's going to basically handcuff the Dodgers. Dodgers made a terrible deal, in my opinion. I mean, what a terrible, terrible decision. This guy already makes $40 million a year just in endorsements, so he doesn't really need the money. But at the end of the day, you say, was it worth it to make such a deal? Is that good for the team? Yes. Ohtani, what he did was good for the team in leaving money so they can sign other players, and I think that was very good. But reality is, that's a lot of money. Did he get greedy in it? No, he did. He basically took what the market would bear. So you can't be mad at him for that. I mean, he's not a bad guy at all. It just happens that the contract is it's so awkward. It's so leaning heavily against the Dodgers. I can't imagine why they wouldn't have just signed a 3-year deal just to see for the outcome for 2 seasons as a pitcher. To me, it didn't make any sense. But what again? Listen, I'm not paying the payroll. I just think it's complete lunacy. Nonetheless, that's going to do it for this show here today, right here on your favorite station. And we'll see you in about 23 hours. Until then, so long, everyone.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.